had one of the best defenses in the country. You bring back a vast majority of those guys. What do you do now that you're in fall camp to ramp things back up when they've kind of all been through this all over?
And we want to emphasize those things that we can get better at. Being a silver bullet defense means being a top 5 defense. So, we had some significant top 5s, but not all of them. So then we look at those things that can make a difference, like the presentation of our defense. Like, that's a big deal. Like, are we showing what we're playing? Now you can get into the details. Are we showing what we're playing, or are we disguising? And then blitzing, right? We need to be more aggressive in terms of the calls, getting more blitzes run, more pressures run, getting our D linemen one-on-one matchups. So then, when you, and we track it, right? So then when you call a blitz, I tell them it's like running an offensive play. Everybody has an assignment, So then we track, our blitzes. Not even really about making plays right now. You're not hitting the quarterback. Just is everyone doing the right things? And you track that. And because I can't call it unless we're at least all on the right track. So you look at those areas you can get better at. Those are 2 that come to mind.
Front row, left, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Jim. Will linebacker, I know it's very early, but how do you see that kind of playing out? Where are those guys at right now? Speaking of Sonny Styles and C.J. Hicks, do you think they might rotate? Do you want to find one guy who's your guy? Just break that down if you would, please.
Yeah, and in a 4-2 scheme, I think they're both neck and neck right now. We got to continue to look at and create more ways to get all 3 of them on the field. Take the nickel out, So I think our depth at nickel concerns me, Hopefully, Lorenzo has been hurt. He's coming back, but hopefully he'll fill that. Right now, behind Jordan, everybody's kind of taking shots. Jermaine's taking some shots. Denzel's taking some shots. Everybody's learning the position. But, Sonny, if you remember, the plan initially last year was playing that nickel Sam, until Lathan got hurt and we had to move him back. So I feel like we can get all 3 of them in the game a significant amount.
Deep right, Jeremy Birmingham, the podcast, Dot in the Eyes.
Entering year 3, obviously, the first 2 years have been a little different. First year felt maybe a little aggressive and got beat a lot on big plays. Last year was kind of the opposite. How do you find a balance of that heading into year 3? And is it really important to you that the defense be multiple this year and do different things? You already mentioned getting the nickel off the field more, but maybe more mixing up the fronts, etc.
Multiple, yes. A lot of that happens with disguise, but more calls out of the base look, I would say. More attack defenses out of the base look. And, it's a constant adjustment. And always learning, always studying, because you're at year 1, aggressive, gave up some big plays. Year 2, we were top 5, in explosive plays, not giving them up, but not as good in sacks and lost yardage plays. So it's just it's a constant balance and tinkering with it.
For 5th row, right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman roll.
Jim, how deep do you imagine this defensive line going? I know Larry handles a lot of that, but especially at tackle, it looks like a couple guys have taken a set. Hero and Jason kind of popped to me. But how deep do you think that tackle room can go?
Yeah, deep. I mean, you'd like to have 6 tackles. You mentioned Hero and Jason, but you got to keep an eye on Caden McDonald. I mean, he can be a real force. another guy I mentioned who I think will be ready to play. And then, yeah, you keep looking, you want 6. But I feel like, we have at least the pair and the spare right now. And we'll see who comes in, but we like to have 6 tackles.
Right next door, Cameron T. Robinson, the athletic.
Jim, you talk about tackles, but Mitchell Melton's a guy that's really healthy out there, is flying around. How much can he help you, especially when you're talking about adding depth on the edge and not just running JT and Jack out there?
Yeah, I mean, boy, Mitch, he really impressed me when I first got here, and then he's battled injuries. And I like to see him healthy, and, you got really good depth there. Kenyatta has really showed up right away. Caden Curry, add Mitch Melton. I mean, you got really, really good depth there.
Third row left, Andy Anders, 11 Warriors.
Yeah. Speaking of, you talked about getting 3 linebackers on the field. I believe we've seen a few looks where CJ was playing at the end, on the line of scrimmage, at the end of the line of scrimmage. Is that a way you can use him as sort of a chess piece this year, coming off the edge and maybe covering tight ends in that area?
Yeah, CJ has some demonstrated talent at, we saw it in the spring, of making plays, when he's on the attack. So, and I think, Sonny can do that too. So we're developing more of those opportunities for that will position because we think we have the guys to do it.
Right behind him, Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Jim, we saw Sonny learning the will position in the spring. Looks like he's with the ones right now. What has he done from April to now to earn that or earn that trust from you?
Yeah, I don't, and he's, like I said, I think he and CJ are both, kind of bracketed right now. But, Sonny has proven to be a guy you can count on, in the big moments. He's gained weight, strength, he's well respected by everybody. So, he makes that move to Will, and you just see a lot of production. You see a guy who understands football. I've had a lot of success with bringing safeties down, to be linebackers because they have an idea of the bigger picture and everything that's going on from sideline to sideline. So Sonny shows that.
Fourth row right, Andy Backstrom, Letterman row.
Jim, you talked about wanting your Mike linebackers to be the quarterback of the defense. Is Gabe Powers ready to be that behind Cody Simon?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gabe really started to show up end of last season, and did a great job in the off season. So, he's being groomed for that, and he's shown all the signs of being capable of it.
Far right, Adam King, WBNS.
When you look at someone like Caleb Downs, I mean, how excited do you get to just be able to use him and all of his talents?
He's coach's dream. He understands everything. He picks everything up. He takes the meeting room to the field. He's locked in meetings. He takes great notes. He's a pro. So I think aside from what he does on the field, making all the adjustments and knowing where to go, he really has a great effect on the guys in the meeting room too.
Third row right, Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
Going back to that interior defensive line depth, is Taiwan Malone a guy who's pushing for playing time, or to see what you've seen from him from spring to now?
Absolutely. I've seen improvement. I've definitely seen improvement. He's competing. We'll see more when the pads get on. That is a very physical position. And, we've become accustomed to our defensive tackles making tackles, not just using up blocks. So I've seen improvement in Taiwan. So I think he's going to be in that mix battling for playing time.
Front row right, Austin Ward, podcast, Dot in the Eyes.
Jim, you talked about wanting more blitzes and sacks, tackles for loss, different looks up front, moving around guys like CJ and Sonny. That to me sounds like a Jack conversation. You've done that throughout your career. I don't know if maybe the last 2 years you've used that to the level that maybe you wanted to or hope to. Is that a solution for what you're talking about? How much is that in your mind or in the plans for this year?
Yeah, like I've said, it's always there, but I don't think that right now, with what we have, that it's the answer. So it's what I want to do is win. And when you have defensive line like we do, you're not looking to take one of those guys off the field. I think we have players that could do it. And I think it's a long season, so we will keep that in our back pocket. You never know with injuries and things that happen, but I think our pressures and our aggressiveness, needs to be created out of that 4-down look. In fact, here, because of what we have, if anything, we might we'll go the other way, right? Like five of those rushmen on the field, and particularly in passing situations, and then you have you have ends here who can drop at times and do different things. You just have to always balance. Okay, if we drop a JT or a Jack, then what are we giving up by them rushing? That's how they help us the most. So, I think while the Jack position will always be, available to us, I think here we have to just create more pressures out of the 4-down look.
Front row middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
It's hard to tell without pads. But it looks like everything that people thought about this defense looks to be. Guys are not getting open very often. Again, given the caveat that you're not in pads and all that, what are your impressions of the first 2 days?
Yeah, I think the first 2 days, like I said, we've been focused on basics. We do the basics, go against the offense, do the basics, and then kind of go off on our own and work on some things, But I'm good right now with what I've seen in 2 days. The important point to get across to our guys is that Vince Lombardi said it. We have to chase perfection. We have to chase perfection. It's impossible, but you catch excellence in the process, and we can never be satisfied with just being good. We have the guys to really reach for perfection, and we just got to keep pushing for that. So I've seen good things, like you said. I've seen us cover guys, fit the right gaps, do that, and now we got to keep pushing them. We got to keep pushing them, and just always chase to be the best in the country.
Right behind him, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Kind of a bigger picture thing. When you came here, I think you were known as a pretty aggressive play caller, and how you went about things. Like you talked about that, and wanted to dictate the offense. And like the first play call here, you sent Denzel Burke on the blitz. Now you got burned on it, but you kind of had talked about living with 3 to 5 big plays, and you'd live with that. And then maybe it burned you later on in the year, and it felt like you backed off of that last year a little bit. And then it felt like sometimes teams were able to drive on you. Now that you're in year 3, and you've got a lot of guys here who have played a lot of football in this system, is there a middle ground of balance you're trying to find where maybe you don't always have to be as aggressive as you were at other stops because of what the talent is, but also picking the right moments to be aggressive so you're not, you can get off the field a little quicker and create some of those turnovers and havoc that you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key. You look at our last game, and we had a shutout, pretty close to the fourth quarter, and sometimes you reach those points here where you just, I don't want to be the one to mess them up. I want them to be able to. It's not about what I know or being creative. When we're going good, I think that's the balance. So going good, hey, we're going good. Let's just keep it going. But when you stay in anything too long or you become predictable, it really doesn't matter who you're playing. They're going to take some kind of, like Missouri did, run this guy all the way across to the other hash, if they really can predict what kind of coverage you're in. So I think that's my job, like you said, to find the middle ground. Like even when things are going good, we still need to take some chances.
Third row left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Jermaine Matthews and Calvin Simpson-Hunt looked like Calvin had a really good day out there today. Jermaine, you mentioned he's been practicing up in nickel a lot. Just where do you feel like those two guys are going into year two?
Jermaine has already showed us that he can play in the big moments, right? I mean, he had to go as a starting corner against was it Penn State, right? Wasn't it? And they went after him. So Jermaine has already shown that he can be a gamer, and that's why he's some nickel. We're trying to find a home for him, and I think Calvin is still proving himself. Look like I'm with you. It looked like he had a good day today. So we just need to see more good days out of him. But I know Jermaine is going to be there, come game time.
Second row left, Steve Hellwagen, 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Coach. I noticed on the national stats, you guys are great in just about everything, but you were like lower 20% in turnovers. 11 turnovers in a 13-game season, and I think, 4 fumbles and 7 interceptions. Just what part of, the overall thought, teaching, mindset goes into producing a few more of those? And you're so close to being where you want to be.
No, you're right. That's the one I didn't mention. I mentioned things that we tracked this spring and will track in fall camp are the presentation, our blitzes, our blitz execution, and then our turnovers. So it's the only way I know how to do it is what you emphasize, you'll get. So, we've just created that in practice, not just the turnover, but, do we see you actually, even if you don't get it out, going through the punch, going through, pulling the ball out? Do we see you, because you never hit the quarterback, but do we see you like just matching the hand of the quarterback? All those things that create the turnover. So you come up with an elaborate point system, and you start giving guys points for at least taking a swing here or doing this thing, the things that you think will create turnovers, and you just start evaluating and grading them on that. But it's definitely a point of emphasis because we were not top 5, even top 10 in that, and we need to be.
If I can also just ask, once the season starts, it'll be apparent how you're using Sonny and CJ, somewhat apparent. Is this as simple to say that because Sonny comes from safety, and as you mentioned, you want him to be the cover safety, and then CJ perhaps the better run player? I don't know, would you see it fit that way, or is that just too overly simplistic to put them in boxes at this point?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is too simple to say that because, there are so many things involved with football, and you just can't predict all the time, what you're going to get. So, yeah, you really just keep evaluating and pushing them on all aspects of the game, and it's a it's a really good situation. But you're right, once game time comes, you know, everybody will see it, and we'll see it, and you know, we'll keep creating opportunities for them to do what they do best. You know, like you try to learn what they do best, and then when they're in the game, you call those things. But I think it's going good right now because they're both showing up.
Front row, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Jim, with just to follow up on Sonny, when you talked about your experience moving guys from safety to linebacker and pass stops, relatively, how is Sonny done with like that learning curve? You talked about his football knowledge, but is it faster than maybe expected? Is it on
it's
or what's just sort of?
You always expect like some kind of initial, you know, drop off or learning curve, but I think Sonny has been at the top of the learning curve from the time he started and getting better all the time.
Right next door, Tim May, the Tim May Podcast.
Thanks, Jerry. Jim, in a nutshell, what is it like to be coaching a veteran defense as opposed to 2 years ago when everybody was learning your system and you were learning them and stuff? You know, not a lot of people have been in your kind of position where you can like really explain the difference. And is it like teaching an upper level course? Is it like teaching a master's type course? What is it like out there?
Yeah, it's definitely an upper level course. You know, and I think there's just more confidence that guys are going to be able to make the adjustments themselves, you know. Obviously, I put a lot of pressure on myself to be right all the time, but I'm not. So when you get different things that happen or formations that happen in the course of a game, you know, you can expect that those guys will be able to fix it on the field, you know.
In case in point, where did you see Jack Sawyer just take that leap last year? And I'm telling you, he looks like a different guy. You've been out there in practice now, at least from my vantage point. What have you seen just come right with him, or the light bulb come on, so to speak?
Confidence, you know, end of last season, you know, great bowl game, you know, he just confidence, and you know, Jack is always a really good-natured personality, but you can see like how serious he is about his craft, you know, and he's just he has seemed to really advance it to next level stuff, you know.
Yeah, and he seems to be an example of what I'm talking about guys that were here that have now blossomed under the system, right?
Yes. Yes.
From a potential standpoint, where it can take you.
Yeah. When he makes a mistake, you know, I don't even get to yell at him because he holds up his hand and says, I got it, you know, I got it. You know, that kind of thing, you know, and we're glad to have him, that's for sure.
Got time for two more. Right behind him, Bill Landis, the podcast, Kings of the North.
Jim, do you see a way for Arvell Reese to help you guys defensively this year? And I guess long term, do you view him as more that will linebacker type or a Mike linebacker or line of scrimmage player? Just how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I was thinking about that today, actually. Talented, you know, talented, and just has made great strides, you know. How's he going to fit in this year? I don't know, you know. We got to get him those game reps and see how he handles it, you know, to really prove himself that he understands the concepts of the defense, and you know, he's come a long way in a year. Now we got to see it in action, so we got to create those opportunities for him, you know. He can do a lot of things, right? He's one of those guys that you just always like, man, should I move? You know, like he can play D end, you know, he could play Jack, he could do, you know, he could do a lot of things, and it's just always in the back of my mind, you know, that what's best for him and to help our team. Right now, he's still just learning, but he's made great progress.
And final question, fourth row left, Joe Nugent, WCMH.
Jeremiah Smith doesn't appear to have too many issues with one-on-one defense. From a defensive perspective, what do you make of his talent as a true freshman?
Yeah, he's shown right away that he can handle anything you throw at him, and if you put him in a one-on-one situation, even against our best, you're kind of holding your breath. I know it makes our guys better. Iron sharpens iron, but everything I've seen from him is just not only great talent but great maturity.
Great. Coach, thank you very much. Thanks, Joe.